He's acting like he didn't get up first thing this morning and look at it before he got out of bed. Who wore pajamas to school today? Anybody? It's pajama day. Very comfy and cozy. Okay, wait just another minute. Okay, I guess that's it for today. Let's get our agenda up here. No big surprises. Got vocab lesson 7 that I've checked this morning. Definitely go over that in class just a sec here. Grammar lesson due by tonight, and that takes care of anything and everything until after the break. Okay, we're still going to be reading Of Mice and Men, part 5. I need to double check when I have the due date for that. It might be Monday night. I think it's Monday night. Okay, so maybe think about doing some reading on that today and tomorrow, and then you won't have a rude awakening when you come back and have to do that whole thing in one night on Monday. I think it's only 15 pages again. It's about as short as, about the same length as the one we did for today. So, you know, no big deal. Usual study guide. And of course, we'll go over part 4 study guide today. So let's get grab your vocab books. Last unit of this quarter, obviously. And our words are gird, daunt, flux, hovel, cadaverous, Gothic, penury, egress, felicity, despot, and that's it. How about number 1? 5 blanks there. Let me come off my screen share here. You guys might find this hard to believe, but for a little while now, Ella is already up to 100% on her participation. I know that's a shocker. So, can we please have some other people speak up? Alex, thank you. Go ahead.
Daunt, Penury, Hovels, Cadaverous, and Egress.
Okay, all good on the last 4. The first one, did you say Daunt? It's not one of the choices, is it?
I meant Despot.
Okay, yeah. Yep, that's the right answer. Despot, I was gonna say that's not really the right part of speech or choice there. You probably meant number 2. So number 2, Roman, thank you. Don't forget to unmute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Flux, Felicity, Gothic, and Girded.
Good job. Daunt, Flux, Felicity, Gothic, and Girded. Can anybody share a sentence completion for us? Don't matter which one. No, not feeling it today. All right. Exercise 3. Part A, idealism would be a belief in ideals. B, abduct means to kidnap or lead away. Donate means to give freely. D, objectivism is a belief in objectivity. E, duct is a passage like an air duct. F, pardon means to forgive. Medicine that works against certain symptoms is called an antidote. The battleship might have anti-aircraft guns. 3, decade, of course, is a 10-year period. And the word that originally meant to kill every 10th person is decimate. That's come to more mean just, let Lauren in here. It's come to mean more just to kind of, as a synonym for like devastate, I would say. Decimate, devastate, they kind of mean the same thing now, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's how it is. Inferences, anybody on those? Okay, let's get to Of Mice and Men. You guys want to access your study guide? I'll give you a minute to do that. I'll do the same. Please access your study guide, whether you speak up or not, and I'd love to hear your voices, of course. I find this to be an extremely, extremely sad chapter. Like it kind of depresses me a little bit just thinking about crooks. But I think Steinbeck certainly had a point there. And another kind of separate point. It's almost like a side story, right? In the overall story that kind of comes out of nowhere. It says something else about the loneliness and isolation in the world. Coming from a different kind of character. So the setting kind of changes, right? It's like the whole thing takes place in Crooks's room, pretty much, right? It's like a little story in itself. And we've kind of heard about this character, right? And it doesn't so much seem like the other characters dislike Crooks. They seem to respect him as a hard worker and stuff, but it's just kind of, if nothing else, it's just kind of taken for granted that he's only going to mix with them so much, right? You're going to throw horseshoes with them outside. But then when they go off and get drinks or something, he's not coming. He's not hanging out with them inside, and they don't come in his room either. So if you want to talk about isolation, is worse, right? And maybe that is Steinbeck's point there, right? Okay, to the think questions. So what are some ways in which Crooks' life on the ranch is affected by racism? How does this treatment affect him emotionally? And that last one there is definitely kind of up to you, like what impression you have there. Thanks, Roman. Go ahead.
One way he's affected on the ranch is he has to stay in the barn and away from everyone else because he is black. And it affects him emotionally because it makes him very sad and lonely. You can tell this from when he says that spending all the time alone can make you crazy.
Yeah, good. And he goes on about that for a while, right? Like he is lonely to the point where, like we would call it like mental illness, and where he's like questioning his own like reality, whether he's seeing or hearing what he thinks he sees or hears, and he's gets a little confused and paranoid when he's having that conversation with Lenny. And then you see the, the true effects. Like some of the guys they almost kind of envy his, the fact that he has a quote unquote, private room or whatever. And anybody remember his answer to that? Yeah, it's great. And then what does he point out to him? Like what's right below his window? Did you catch that, Ella?
I think it was like the horse manure.
Yeah, exactly. Like a pile of horse manure, right? Says, yeah, it's great. There's a pile of crap like outside my window. So he's being kind of bitterly sarcastic there, right? Not like haha funny. Okay, good. Going on to number 2. Why does Crooks ask Lenny to suppose a situation in which George does not return and Lenny is left alone? Crooks gets really excited when he realizes how, mentally disabled Lenny is, right? And then why does he abruptly withdraw the suggestion? What kind of goes on with that conversation there? Did you follow that? Crooks is presenting what we would call a what type of situation. What we call that? Starts with an H. Roman?
Hypothetical.
Good. Yeah. Hypothetical situation. Like what if George is gone, right? What if George died? What if George left and never came back, right? And what kind of goes haywire with the conversation after he says that? Anybody? Go ahead, Ron.
It starts to make Lenny scared, and then he gets mad at Crooks, and I think that starts to scare Crooks a little.
Yeah. Why would Lenny get mad about Crooks just presenting a hypothetical situation and asking him what he would do?
He thinks that it's not a hypothetical. He thinks that what Crooks is saying is actually happening.
Yeah. Lenny seems to be incapable of understanding like the abstract idea of a hypothetical situation. You realize, he just doesn't get that, right? And that's when Crooks starts to really realize, how little Lenny is able to understand. It's, it's kind of sad, a little bit funny for a while because you see Crooks kind of laugh, but then you realize, well, it's not really funny, right? And then he kind of has to draw it back because once again, you see Lenny start to get excited, he kind of moves toward him, and Crooks realizes, oh boy, he's gonna do something violent to him, and he has to kind of like draw it back, and he does, and then things are okay. And actually, for a while, have this kind of very comfortable conversation, right? You think, this is kind of nice, and Crooks actually likes having company there to talk to him, which he never does. He never has, right? So even this, and he realizes he could that George could say anything to him. It doesn't really matter. And Crooks is realizing, I can say anything to him. It doesn't really matter. He kind of gets a kick out of that. He feels like he can have a safe conversation in a way with Lenny, right? Because nobody's gonna bring up what he did and get him in trouble like somebody else definitely does a little bit later, right? And that's when things kind of turn sad again. Okay, up to number 3. Name 2 ways in which Curly's wife and Crooks are revealed to be similar. Now, at least now Curly's wife is probably a lot less of a sympathetic character, right? But on some level she might be, right? What do they both have in common regarding number 3? A new voice, perhaps, on this question. Somebody? Not too difficult, right? Or an old voice. Whoever. Go ahead, Al.
Okay, so I think one of the ways that they are revealed the same way is how they're both being left to be lonely. We already know that Crook is lonely because of his circumstances, but on page 77, she says, think I like to stick in that house all time. This shows that both Crook and herself are left alone. Another way that they are similar is by the power that they hold. Crook has no power whatsoever over anything, and Curly's wife thinks that she can have power, but she really can't do too much.
No, she really can't. I mean, she's kind of just a trophy, right? Like Curly thinks, oh, I got a hot wife. I'm gonna put her in this house, and then that's it, right? Like she's not working there. There's no mention about whether they're going to have children or something, right? And she's just kind of this pretty object, that he has. And that's, she may not have to strain herself or work hard, but I mean, what kind of existence is that to lead, right? So we, definitely might feel some sympathy on some level for it. It's hard to tell whether, the way that she's messing with people, is she a bad person, or is that just like all she has to do? And on some level, it's kind of understandable. But certainly by the end of the section, we probably don't like it very much, right? We'll get to that. Actually, that's in the next question, right? So what is Curly's wife suggesting when she tells Crooks that she could have him strung up on a tree so easy? So Curly's wife comes in and kind of is talking about the hand, right? And they're all trying to keep the secret of how Curly's hand really got crushed by Lenny, because they don't want Lenny to get in trouble, right? But she can kind of see through their lies, right? And can tell that's really not what happened for various reasons, right? And so she presses them, and then eventually they start telling her just to get out, right? And Curly makes the mistake of joining in on that just a tiny little bit, right? And then what does she do? Somebody besides Ella and Roman on this one, I insist. Kendall, thank you. Go ahead. You're muted still.
I think she means like she could end it easily.
You're breaking up. Sorry. Come again.
I think she means like she could end him easily or like hurt him.
Yeah, she's insinuating that she could have him lynched, right? Strung up on a tree. The word is lynched, right? And that was something that happened. Still happened, during these times. I mean, obviously we're in that period, a long period in between, when slavery ended and well before the civil rights movement, because that's the late 60s, right? So we're in the 30s here, in a rural area, and it happened a lot. People would be literally like hung from trees, and not a whole lot would be done about it, right? He knows that, and that's, let's say, that kind of relates to the next question there. But it's so, what's despicable about that is it's so easy, right? Like, so your life is kind of hard. Well, who can I really take a jab at and feel like my existence is a little bit better? Well, this African American guy here, because nobody is going to take his side like on anything. I can say whatever I want to him and feel a little bit higher, right, than what my existence is normally like by grabbing that low hanging fruit, right, and saying that horrible thing. So we probably, if we had any sympathy for it, probably went out and goes out the window for the most part with that statement, right? All right. So then that leads Crooks to say, as they're going out, even though he kind of enjoyed sitting and talking to Lenny, it's like you realize, wow, that's sad. Well, you guys tell me. He says, you guys coming in and setting made me forget. What did he forget? What does he always have to remember that he says he forgot as a general part of his existence, right? Anybody else who haven't spoken care to chime in on this last question here? Okay, then, to Ella, go ahead.
So when Crooks says that they made him forget he was different from the others, in the text it says, I don't care how much Lenny's a good guy. His whole time being at the ranch, he was treated terribly. He has been discriminated because of the color of his skin. So when Candy and Lenny came and talked to him, it was like he was no different than them. It made him forget all the negative things that have happened to him.
And then he realizes what? What does he realize?
After Curly's wife started saying that stuff to him, it put him back down, and he realized that he should just go back to the way it has always been.
Right, because if he doesn't, and if he forgets again, that can be dangerous for him, right? And that, to me, that's I don't know, so far, probably the saddest moment of the book, because you see Crooks actually having some human contact, and then it's just slapped back down, and he's back to the, it leaves the end of the scene with him rubbing liniment in his back because he's got the that's why I call him crooks, right? Because he's got a crooked back from, you know, like a bad back or an injury or something, and he's left just kind of big, like almost literally licking his wounds, right? And this is what I got to stick with this. So it ends on that sad note. So in the prompt, it asks many of the characters in the text struggle with feelings of discontent. How does the author use characters' feelings to eliminate the life of ranch workers to the Great Depression? Does the chronic discontent lead to community or conflict? And we see it more and more, although there's some community in the bunkhouse, right? For anybody who has some disadvantage, right? For Curly's wife, it's the, you know, isolation of being a woman, having this jerk for a husband. For Lenny, it's you know, his mental abilities. For Candy, he's missing a hand, and then, you know, even the other guys who don't have some specific disadvantage, it's not great for them, right? So it's definitely not leading toward a lot of community. There's glimpses of it, right? He gives these little glimpses of hope, but overall, it seems to be just destructive to human beings' emotional states. And that's what we see more and more of. A lot of you guys did a really good job writing about that. Actually, seeing more and more people really thinking harder about that. And again, if you saved all these study guides, especially if you've really put your heart and soul into, so like some of you have, I gave some people some extra points for writing so much. We'll do a literary analysis paper eventually, fourth quarter. That'll be our last big paper. And you'll either be writing about this book or another novel that we'll read third quarter. So saving all this stuff will be a great way to kind of go back and get like really relevant textual evidence to make, you know, probably similar points to what the study guides bring up. So good job, doing a better and better job on that. I don't think I have posted it yet. No, I haven't, but I'll be posting up part 5 stuff. And like I said, I think it's about 15 pages. It is due Monday night, so you don't have to come back with it, but Monday night I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, if anybody out there for some reason doesn't have that research paper in, please take care of that. Okay, you can't really have that grade missing and pull off any kind of good grade for the quarter. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do the live session tomorrow or not. I think I might not. Double check. But all we have to do tomorrow is grammar. Yeah, I'm not going to. Just say. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you guys the day off from live tomorrow because all we have to do is grammar, and I usually just post a key for that. And other than that, you're just, you know, reading with mice and men. So let me know if you need anything. And otherwise, guys, thank you for continuing to attend. I appreciate it, and I'm definitely recording it. And you guys have a great holiday break. Okay.